welcome to the backyard. It is an overcast Sunday afternoon. We've been getting a lot of rain, got like 4 or 5 inches over the weekend. So it gives us a good opportunity to get out, practice some backyard bushcraft, and go find some suitable fire starting tinder that we can use to take that initial spark to create a fire, and then look at some other options like some ones that you can bring with you, like cotton balls, Vaseline, everything like that. So come along, let's see what we can't do wrong. All right, so right here we have a dead cedar tree. And so what cedar's great for is, even when it's been raining, we can pull the bark off like this. And that bark is gonna be full of resin. And if we fluff it up, we can turn this into a bird's nest that'll take that spark and we can blow into an actual flame to get our fire going. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is turn these 4 sticks into feather sticks. All right, now we got our feather sticks. So let's go ahead and get the rest of our tinder together and everything like that, and we can go over all our options for starting your fire up. So right here, we got a collection of 5 different examples of tinder you can use to get that initial flame going for your fire. So over here we got our 2 natural options. Right here we got a feather stick that we feathered out with some of those shavings that fell off. That paired with some of these fine shavings, that'll get a fire going real well from a ferro rod. Over here we have that ground up cedar bark made into a bird's nest that we can use to get that flame going. Over here we're looking at some makeup pads and cotton balls, and so these, they'll catch a spark from a ferro rod, but they'll burn out like that. Whenever you combine it with like this Vaseline or just regular chapstick, it'll prolong that flame and let you transfer it up to feather stick, let's say, or a little bit larger tinder sticks, and then larger and larger sticks to get that fire going. And then over here we have some other examples of pre-made material that has an accelerant inside of it. So these fire plugs, you can rough them up and rip them apart, and they're just like that. Very cottony, but they have wax and petroleum jelly and everything else in there to help that flame sustain. Okay, and then finally, right here, we have fire cord. And so this is kind of like 550 cord. It's got the outer shell and then the strands inside, but in there you have a red strand which is flammable, and you can set the spark to this and it'll hold that to help you get that fire going. Right here we have our feather stick, and we have some of those fine curls. We're going to use our ferro rod to get that going as our first example of tinder. And just like that, we got our fire started with our feather stick. Our next example is with the cotton balls. First example given is how fast this will burn out whenever it's just the cotton ball by itself. And just like that, the cotton ball's on fire and giving off a good amount of heat, but it doesn't last very long. As we see, it's already getting shriveled up, and that flame's just not going to sustain. So whenever we take our cotton ball and go ahead and rub it around with that Vaseline, get that worked in there, we see that flame can go ahead and last even longer. So just like that, that cotton ball's lit on fire, but the flame in there, it's starting to be maintained by the Vaseline that's on there. And then, since most all of us don't really carry around Vaseline in our pockets all the time or anything like that, you can also do this with chapstick. Put some chapstick in there, really work it inside of that. In this example, the cotton pad, makeup pad, whatever you want to call it, work it in there, and just like the cotton ball, this will hold that flame a lot longer because of the stuff that's in there. So we see it's burning. And it's staying lit a lot longer than that initial cotton ball was that did not have anything on it to help it. Alright, so now right here we have our fire cord. So if we go ahead and pull that red length out of there, this is the stuff that's actually flammable. And so what we can do is we can work that up into a little ball, and you can either grind it up with your hands, or you can use something like this, grinding it on a stump or whatever you want to really get that wax and those fibers to start getting released. And so once you do that, you can use your ferro rod and you can get this fire going. And see, and just like that, our fire cord is alight. So that's how you can use that stuff to get your fire started. And now we have those fire plugs that we can use to get a fire started. I actually, inside of my pack, wherever I go, I'll keep, it's an old like match cap, I think it's an Exotac or something. I actually keep some of these fire plugs in there. There's quite a few in there. You probably have to use a stick or Leatherman or whatever to get them all out, but I'll keep them in there just as a backup in case. And so once we actually rip these plugs apart, expose that cottony fibrous material on the inside, it's real easy to get them lit with the ferro rod, just like everything else. Just like that, that fire's going. All right, so what we have here is we have all that ground up cedar bark. We've broken it down so we see all this really fibrous fine material there that'll catch a spark from our ferro rod really easily, and then we can add a little oxygen by blowing on it nice and gently, create a flame, work into our feather sticks and then our larger sticks until we're finally able to build a self-sustaining fire. So, and just like that, we went over 5 or 6 different methods that we can use to get a fire going, using both natural and I guess we'll call them man-made materials, or at least man-manipulated materials that we bring along with us. All right, so with that, we went over about 5 or 6 methods we can use, using both natural and man-made tinder to get our fire going when we're out in the woods. And so I appreciate y'all watching. Thanks for coming along, seeing what we can't get wrong.